A woman lunging across a table, her hand outstretched, not for a slap, but for a throat. We've all seen the footage. Lisa Rinna, eyes wild with a fury we had never seen before, hurtling towards Kim Richards, the wine glass thrown, the shattering crystal, the screams. We thought we saw it all, but we were wrong. Years later, long after the legal pads have been put away and the microphones have been packed up, Lisa Rinna is finally telling the truth about what happened in that split second that the cameras couldn't capture. She isn't just admitting she lost her temper, she is confessing to something far darker. She nearly strangled Kim Richards with her own two hands, and the only thing that stopped her? The thought of a Dutch prison cell. But here is the question that has haunted the hallways of Beverly Hills ever since. What drives a woman to that edge? Was it simply a moment of madness? Or was Lisa Rinna, in that explosive second, the product of something, and someone, far more manipulative? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on the lie detector tests of the soul. We are going to explore Lisa Rinna's claim that she was a pawn in a game much bigger than herself. We are going to look at the woman she says ran away, Lisa Vanderpump, and the puppet strings that may have been pulling them all along. Buckle up, because this story involves mind games, a dog named Lucy, and a confession so shocking it changes how we view every single dinner party from hell. To understand the lunge, you have to understand what happened in the minutes before. It wasn't just a random argument that boiled over. It was a pressure cooker of emotion, and the valve was about to blow. Earlier that evening, Lisa Rinna had done something incredibly vulnerable. She opened up about her sister who had struggled with addiction, who had overdosed, who had left this world far too soon. Lisa was just 6 years old when she lost her. 6 years old. Think about that weight, carrying that for a lifetime. She shared this deeply personal tragedy with Kim Richards because Kim was struggling. Kim was fighting her own demons with alcohol. Lisa, in that moment, was trying to build a bridge. She was saying, I understand pain. I understand loss. I am here. And for a moment, it seemed to work. There was a glimmer of connection. But then, something shifted. Kim, perhaps triggered by the intensity, perhaps deflecting from her own issues, turned. She started verbally attacking the other women at the table. She called the lovely Eileen Davidson a beast, and then she aimed for the jugular. She looked at Lisa Rinna and uttered 5 words that would become infamous. Let's talk about the husband. Let's pause right there. In the world of Lisa Rinna, there is one sacred cow, one line that you do not cross. Her husband, Harry Hamlin, the father of her children, her rock. Kim Richards was implying something, insinuating something about a man she had met exactly once. In that instant, the little girl who lost her sister vanished. The empathetic friend disappeared. What was left was a lioness defending her mate. Lisa Rinna saw red. She saw nothing but the threat, and in her mind she made a decision that terrified even herself. She decided she was going to physically stop Kim Richards from speaking, permanently. Lisa Rinna has described what happened next as a gift from God, but it wasn't a feeling of peace that washed over her. It was a cold, hard dose of reality. As she launched herself across that table, her hands reaching for Kim Richards, a voice, she calls it instinct, she calls it survival, screamed inside her head. It said, if you touch her, you will go to prison. You are in Amsterdam. You will never get out. That single thought was the break in the dam. It stopped her momentum just enough. She pulled back, but the rage had to go somewhere. It had to be released. So she grabbed the nearest thing, a wine glass, and threw the contents in Kim's face. Then, in a motion that has been replayed millions of times, she slammed the glass down on the table, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. Later, she would joke about it. She would say, "I hear the food in jail sucks, and orange is not my best color." But make no mistake, that humor is a shield. It protects her from the terrifying truth of that night. She came within a heartbeat of committing a violent crime on national television. But here is the part of the story that Lisa wants us to understand now, with the clarity of hindsight. She says that moment of madness wasn't created in a vacuum. The fury, the volatility, the edge she was living on had been carefully cultivated. She believes she was being played, and the person holding the marionette strings, she claims, was the Queen of England herself, Lisa Vanderpump. Now, we have to rewind a few years, before the Amsterdam glasses shattered, before the accusations flew. There was a different dynamic. Lisa Rinna has admitted that when she first joined the cast of RHOBH, she was in awe of Lisa Vanderpump. Who wouldn't be? The swans, the villas, the perfectly coiffed hair, the British wit that could cut diamonds. Rinna describes it as a really great cat and mouse game. She was the new mouse, and Vanderpump was the sophisticated cat. But according to Rinna, the game wasn't just about witty banter, it was about narrative control. Rinna has made a stunning allegation that Vanderpump was the primary source of some of the most damaging storylines Rinna ever participated in. Specifically, the Yolanda Hadid situation, the story where Lisa Rinna suggested that Yolanda was faking the severity of her Lyme disease, that she might have Munchausen syndrome. This was a story that almost destroyed Rinna. She has since called it her only one regret, saying, "Yolanda, I would change that. That was very wrong, on all levels." But now she's pointing a finger. She claims it wasn't her idea. She says, "It was Vanderpump. I was too new at the time to realize that that's the story they wanted to push, and I took the bait." Listen to her words carefully. She describes mornings where the phone would ring. It would be Vanderpump, day after day, feeding her information, feeding her suspicions, planting seeds. Rinna says, "They feed you. It's like a fucking brainwashing. I'm not even kidding. And I took the bait. I did exactly what they wanted me to do." This paints a picture of a Lisa Rinna who wasn't the villain mastermind she was edited to be. It paints a picture of a woman who was a soldier in someone else's war, carrying out orders she didn't fully understand, fighting battles that weren't hers. If Rinna is to be believed, this pattern of manipulation reached its peak during the infamous Puppygate scandal of season 9. This was the story that finally broke the camel's back, the story that led to Lisa Vanderpump's exit from the show. Let's set the scene. Dorit Kemsley adopts a puppy named Lucy Applejuice from Vanderpump's rescue center. The dog doesn't work out in the Kemsley household, and Dorit rehomes her to a friend. That friend, unfortunately, lets the dog end up in a shelter. Because the dog was microchipped to Vanderpump's foundation, they find out. It's a bad look for Dorit, but here's where it gets complicated. The story of Dorit's doggy abandonment is brought up on camera by Teddy Mellencamp. Teddy later admitted that she was fed the information by Vanderpump's employees. Specifically, she was told the story so she would bring it up at Vanderpump Dog Rescue, guaranteeing the location and presumably the new spin-off show would get maximum screen time. When Teddy starts talking, Vanderpump looks directly at the camera and says, "Teddy, please don't talk about this." The classic move, pretending to want to stop the very drama she allegedly started. Lisa Rinna claims that the entire cast was called to a hotel room with the producers. They sat at the table, and Rinna looked the producers in the eye and accused them, "You are making a pilot. We're driving a pilot for her." She was referring to the spin-off, Vanderpump Dogs. The producers, Rinna says, lied to her face. They swore it was not true. But Rinna was convinced. She believed that the entire season's narrative, the tearing apart of friendships, the accusations, the tears, it was all a vehicle to promote Lisa Vanderpump's next business venture. And if that was true, it meant that Rinna and the other women had been used. They had been pawns in a publicity stunt. The betrayal, she says, ran deep. When the walls closed in, when the other women started questioning her motives, Lisa Vanderpump did something unprecedented. She didn't show up to the season 9 reunion.